What's going on, Alexander Thomas here. Welcome back to Game Time 123. And we get left. Yeah, find the right scene. So this is the first video for Season 2 of the Sports Hour series. Now, this is an intro video sort of in the context to the action yet. So this will be a lot longer than a lot of the other videos will be. I just wanted to go ahead and show you all the teams for that, and some changes have been made to the series. Mostly because it was an interesting series, but then I had no one, and basically, so I had to take control of every team. So I don't really want to have to do that for the season. So I'm hoping that as next year, we'll have more people be a part of the NBL. This is actually NBL 2025, not 2024. No, 2020. We're in 2044. So there have been a few changes. There haven't been a lot of changes, but there have been a few. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the changes that were made this season. Again, there were not very many, but there were a few that I'm going to go through. And there is technically going to be 3 videos, so I just want to go ahead and make sure you understand that this is not going to be it's going to be a little bit longer than some of the other ones. Let's see if I can Google. So this is the pre-draft. This is the pre-draft video. Intro to the season, pretty much. So there are quite a few changes that I've said before. I still have the email current. I've changed that a little bit, but there's not much to change, so you can still look at this. I believe I'll put this into it. However, trades are a little bit different now. So I said pretty much doesn't matter what happens to the actual trades. Basically, the only thing the trades do have to go through the NBL head, which is me. So this costing does not make a difference there. This is no longer a thing. The NBL has been changed. Basically, now I'm kind of describing as fantasy football. Not exactly, because it's not going to be the exact same thing, but the basic idea. As the NBL head, I basically have the authority over who gets the teams. The way I want to do it, though, I want you guys to do as much as you can, as much as you want, to control as any team is. And I said you got all these teams in here. This will also be available to you guys. And I believe I made it available I'll make it available in this thing. Basically, the only 2 changes I've made is that the draft is different. And you see all these picks here. These are the picks for this year. I have now made it so you can actually get trade picks for the next 2 seasons. That is the new changes to it. You can still have any of these teams. I don't want to have to worry about any of these teams. The only 2 things to note for me in the context is, let's see. The NBL is going to be pretty much exactly the same, other than the fact actually, honestly, there's not really anything that's changed. The difference here is that if you are the team lead, which will be, is you can make trades between two teams. I do have to have notification of that trade happening, otherwise it doesn't count. You can cut or sign players for the team that you're against. You can bench or play players, the team that you have. You can make predictions. The predictions can be anybody, so you don't have to be a team lead to do that. And you can make decisions draft, which happened the 30th, the December 30th, December 31st, the January 1st, and January 2nd possible. If you want to. In order to do that, all you got to do is send a team to the names of people that you want to draft for the team that you are picking in the order that you want them picked in. Yes. And you have to send me the name you want to go by. It doesn't matter what the name is, as long as it is appropriate, and the fact, yes, you can use your regular YouTube name, you can use your Raggle name if you want to. You don't have to, you can use your first name. If there isn't, I will probably say, I'll probably give you an initial to worry about that. More about that later, though. I'm not going to close that part down. But that is basically the idea for that. As a part of the NBL, there's 40 teams. You can choose any teams. You can choose put in as many teams as you want to. I'm only going to ensure you're going to get one team. You might get two, depending on how few people we have. But in context, I don't know if I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you one. It just depends on how many players we've got. I don't need this anymore. That. So here's the other picks. Here, this one will also be available to you. This just shows you all the picks and also shows you all picks that teams have. For this season, it will show you the number is the pick in this year's draft. So this is one. That's the first pick in the NBL draft. So if you want to get the Chargers and you want the first pick, that's the team you get for it. And then every round after that, you get an additional Gopher picks. So pick 1 in round 1, pick 41 in round 2, pick 30 or 41 in round 3, pick 121. There's only 160. There's only 160 players, and they're all listed right here. And it gives you the ratings for that player when they took this. Now, I will point out, these are not real people. So just know that they are not real people. So you can, and I got these off basically off a random name generator, so this is not a fully, it's not it. But you can choose any of these players. There's only 3 requirements when it comes down to the actual draft. And we get to the team rosters. Here's the team rosters. You can have up to 20 players. I think that's what I have. I have up to 20 players. That's 26. Am I right? Did I do that right? Yeah. It appears to be up to 25 players. 25 players you can have. Because that goes over here. So you can have up to 25 players. Now, The deal is you get to choose. You can keep any of the players you have. You can bench the players. The way it's going to work, and I'm actually going to go and put down. If a player is benched, then their name is going to be in blue. If a player is injured, it's going to be crossed out. That means they're not playing that game. If it's any of these three, they're not playing in the actual game. So let's just say Alexander Thomas Jr. Their name will be in red if they're suspended, which is possible. There is a possibility that any player could be suspended. They could be crossed out, which means they're injured, possible but unlikely, or they can be in blue. If they're in blue, you're the one to decide that they're benched. So just to point out, in order to decide a player's benched, all you have to do is don't call me please, is send an email to nblsportshour@gmail.com, and just to show you, and just to point out, that's the account right there that I have. I got like several other accounts, but they don't count. And what you'll do, there's 3 things you can do for the NBL draft. If you want to do the draft, let's assume you want a team. Doesn't matter what team it is. Let's just say you pick the Chargers because they have the number 1 pick. You can send it to me saying, I would like to have a team. Or I would like the Chargers. I would say send more than one just in case some other team person has asked for the same team. So send 1 or 2 or 3 teams. And then I'll say, your team is going to be the Chargers because no one else has picked them, and they're going to have these picks in the round. And that's what I'm going to send it back to you. Then you're going to have the opportunity, after you have taken the team, to make trades if you want to. The trades are going to be like this. You're going to send an email back to me saying, I would like to make a trade with, let's just say, the 8th for their 5th pick. I'm exaggerating here. We'd like to give them our 1st pick next year and our last pick this year, just to give an example. And if there's no one, I'm going to go and bold these. If no one has that team, I get to make the decision whether that's a fair trade or not. If it's a fair trade, I'm going to absolutely say, yeah, go. You get it. That trade's going to go through. If I feel it's not reasonable, like for example, you want the 5th pick, italics, and you want to give the, let's say, you have the Chargers, you want to give the 3rd and 4th pick for next year. And I think it's kind of unreasonable, not really. I don't think it's going to actually make sense. Then I'll say, yeah, that pick's fine. Or the other team, their player that controls that team has that. Then they decide, I don't think that's a good deal or something. They'll send it back to me and say, hey, I don't think it's a good deal. And I'll say, would you like to? There's their counter offer, or they can counter as well. Countering is also possible. So you have plenty of options, and these are all the picks. And I will have it. This is also available. You can see the draft is 2023. It's actually 2024. Let me go and rename that because it'll be 2024 when this draft occurs. There is only 160 players. Okay, so just to note, there's 160 players. You can go and look at this because it is available. I believe it's available to all players now. It's available to the people who have a link. I'm going to put a link below the video, this video, to this, so you can take a look at them even if you don't. If you want to be the NBL head, the only way not the NBL head, the player who controls the team, that will be only available on the second video. But you'll have, if you get team, I will give you their current roster. And this will also be available. You can see the roster as well. You can see free agents. Anyone who is available in free agency also will be shown on this list. On the free agent list, 2021, I'm going to go and hide because it's irrelevant. It's wrong. I'm going to hide this one as well because there's no reason for it to be there because it's not right. It doesn't matter anymore. If you want to try to get a retired player, any of these players can technically return to the league. Technically. If a player is 21, they can no longer turn to the league, which means they'll be on the retired player out of play list, which is this right here. You can see all the players that have been there. And the last team they were in, unless they were free, and if they were a free agent, then they'll be free agents. You can see all the players. And if they are fully retired, which I don't think they is, then they can't. Then their name will be yes. They will not be able to do it. You can see one player in the entire league does not have yes in there, which means technically you could potentially get her back if you wanted to. But right now, these are the only players that could potentially return to the league if they want to. Once a player is 21, or then they are eliminated from the league. And I have a list somewhere else for that. I'm not going to show the entire list for that of players what players' ages are. I don't think it's relevant. But anyways, you can take a look at the team list here, and this I will go and explain a few things. I'm going to go with the Panthers. These are the players that the Panthers currently have. The experience is how many seasons they have played. So this is 7 years. If it says 1, that means this is their second season. They're going into their second season. 2 means they're going into their third season after this season's over. If after this season's over, they'll be at 3 years of experience. That's the idea. The pay is how much they get paid, and the total amount right here is going to be the amount that they are being paid. The overall rating for that player is here. I'm going to put that into the average, and then it will show you the average of the player. You can figure that as well. And that's the idea. Every team is here. Now, I will say this: there are a few teams that seem kind of low in amount of players. The Foxes, as you can see, only have 8 players. The minimum for a team that doesn't already have that amount of players is, in fact, 8. So 8 players is the minimum in the league. You cannot have less than 8 players. So if you go for a team and you want to cut every player from the team, you have to have those players stay on the team until you have at least 8 players after you take the players off. That is just how it works, because I have to have enough players on the team for everything to happen. Second thing that really kind of this doesn't really necessarily matter, but every team will need to have at least 1 point guard, 1 forward, 1 defensive back before the beginning of the season. Most likely they should have at least 2. Their rating will be hurt if they don't have that many players. So if you don't have only defensive backs, your defense is going to be high, but your offense is going to be killed. Down, I think the 10-point penalty. Yeah, 10-point penalty for every player you don't have before be under 3. But you're going to have every possibility to get any teams. Now, I will let you guys know for the draft here. I'm going more than the draft is. If you go to here, you'll see PRN, predicted round number. That's when they're suspected to go. If they're supposed to be in the top 10, then their number will be round 1, T10. That means they're likely to be coming and going in the first round. That's what the predicted round is. That doesn't mean they're going in that round. That means they could be the very last pick, Mr. Irrelevant. Technically, although that would be weird. That is the predicted round they're going in. Now, I will say this. There are plenty of players that are round 4 that are going to go round 2. There are plenty of players that are round 1 that are going to go round 2. There are plenty of players that are going to be round 3 that are going to go in the very last pick. So, just to note that. So that is the last thing about this. I don't know what that is. Playoffs are going to be right here when they're available. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to say this is going to be. Right now, I'm putting this in color orange. This doesn't matter. Draft grades. This season. Once the draft has occurred, which will be the first. Probably looking at the second week in the first, the draft grade will be available to what you think the team has. These are the current amount of players they have for each position. The overall is the actually current overall rating. Doesn't count penalties. After penalty ratings, the ratings are so if they have for example the Legends here, they have a penalty rating of 5 because they do not have the minimum amount of point guards they should have. 3 is the minimum that they should have. So if you have one team here that has 3, minimum they have the minimum. The penalty rating is gone. They still, even though the Colts have 10 point guards and 10 forwards right now, gosh, they do have a penalty rating of 5 because they only have 2 defensive rating penalties. But you can go to any of these things. You can even see the playoff records for a reason. These are since 2006. Yes, I've been doing this since 2006. These are the times they've been to the playoffs. It doesn't necessarily say what they have done in the playoffs. Yes. And it does say your team founded to. The team founded is irrelevant pretty much. Unless they were founded in 2023. The first official season that we really worked with was 2006. And you can see all back to 2017 right here. The amount of games in the season has changed. Since 2017 through 2022, there were 18 games in the season. There's only 16 games in the season now. I decided to change that down. And you can see the wins, losses, and ties, their actual percentage. So you can see the Panthers have a 98% win rate. And then you have the teams that have only been here one season have a very low amount. They have more wins. They're going to have a higher rating, which I believe, let me just see if I can get this. See this. Yeah, so the sum is the entire thing divided. It's the Yeah, it's this divided by the sum of all of them. That is yes. And it tells you how many games this season because it tells you the entire sum. Now, I will say this. Ties are less likely this year. As you see, quite a few teams have never tied. Previous year, last year, when I did this, basically I had it so that if a team tied in the first 4 quarters, they would play an additional quarter. If that was a tie, it was a tie at the end of the season. I have changed it this year. Now it is sudden death, basically. Not exactly sudden death. The way it works is each team is going to have basically 5 shots, and that's going to be it. If it's a tie after all 5 of the shots have been made, it's 10 shots total. If both teams have 5 shots, if they both miss all of them, or they get the same amount, it's a tie after that. If one team has 3 shots made and the other team has 2 shots made, the team has 3 wins the game. Doesn't count as a tie. Because you can see there are a total of 90, that's the average, 38 ties in the NBL. That just shows you all the ties. You can see the teams' wins and losses here. And here I'm going to explain this here. If they won the Ball Bowl, they're going to have a WBB. If they lost the Ball Bowl, obviously it's going to be LBB. If they didn't make the playoffs, they're going to get a DNQ, which did not qualify. If they lost the divisional round, which is the second round, then they get a LDR. If they lost the conference championship, which is the third round, then they get LCC. If they didn't make it to the wild card, they'll get the WASP wild card round. And the same thing if they made it through the wild card round. There will be nothing that says one wild card round because that doesn't mean anything. It will go as far as they went. So if you see WASP wild card round, means that they made into the wild card. It means they made the playoffs. They lost the playoffs. And the way playoffs work, if you go to the playoffs here, it's best of 5 in everything now. It was best of 3, and you can see it's not like the NFL where you have only 7 teams. You have 8 teams. And there's the divisional record for each one of those. They will play best of 5 games. So if just like the NFL, I think NBL or the NBA, I think NBA actually was 7 games, but the NBA is different. It's a similar idea, but they're not going to be the same thing. So if a team wins all 3 of the first 3 games, they will move on to the next round. And it'll be the highest seed remaining plays the lowest seed remaining, just like regular playoffs. That's the idea. Here, let me go ahead and get this renamed. During the season, I'll be adding that to this. I think I have. Is that really right? Oh yeah, this is not correct, is it? I'll need to update this. 1 second, let me get that. There we go. The way it will work is at the end of each week, I will put how many points they scored, how many points they didn't score, or the points that they allowed. And that will be deciding a bit about the factors later. I don't need this anymore. That will decide basically how good their team is, ranking wise. Let's see, anything else here I need to put about? I don't think so. Alright. Now we get to the fun part. The NBL season. This will also be put up. I have already put in together the next up to 2026. And this is actually, we can hide this because it's not relevant. You can see you'll be able to see their team's division and every game they play, how many home games and how many away games they play. And they're going to be averaged at the same amount. Now, the strength of schedule, which is strength of schedule. SOS. Help, please. No, that is the team's strength of schedule, which is depending on how the teams they play did last year. So if teams did terrible last year, they're going to have a easier schedule. One is the easiest. The Pirates have the easiest schedule here. You can see all their team, their actual games that they're playing. Why are they playing the Saints twice? Oh, I might fix that. Unless I missed something up about that. And there's some notes here. I need to go and make a note of that because I'm not going to change anything else about this. So there is all the information. Because normally what will happen is everyone in the same division will play twice. With the exception of the Dragons and Bears, they'll play once. And then Lightning Westville, which I spelled Westville wrong, these two teams will play twice. And that's just because I have some weird things I have to worry about. I don't know that I have any of these. I think these are all going to stay the same as well. They're changing sort of. Yeah, cool that. So I think these are all correct. Maybe. I'm just checking. See, Star Ravens. Are they playing the same thing? Oh no, I just basically read. Yeah, so it's kind of weird. So this is going to be this next 2 seasons, and these are all confirmed. I will not be changing anything about these games. I don't know how many divisional matchups they'll have. I'll have to go check that. And these are who the teams are supposed to be playing. That is basically the idea. Now, this has been a pretty long video, but we're almost done here for this one. So this current season is here. This is also going to be available to you guys, so you guys can see this. Strength of schedule. The team that has the easiest schedule is the Pirates, the team that has the hardest schedule. I'm sorry to the team that has the hardest schedule. I think it's the Dolphins, is it? Yes, it's the Dolphins. Dolphins have the hardest schedule. And you can see the easiest schedule is 1, the hardest schedule is 40. You could, if depending on and what amount of points that team was valued at, is next to these teams here. So 16 was the value variance. Now I can't. Now I will say this: if you go to the other ones here, you won't see that because their games, those seasons have not happened yet. That is the idea for those things. I think that is pretty much it for that one. You can look at each of these seasons. Um, Now for the NBL, week 1 in the next 3 weeks will be shown right here. So everything's gonna be 0-0, so I'm not gonna bother putting it here. But these are when the games occur by. I will have all the games marked at the time that they could be approximately later the day they are supposed to occur. So you'll see the latest game, which is I think 4 o'clock on the latest game, which is going to be 1 o'clock on Monday. No, 2 o'clock on Monday for this one. I mean, for stadium. So approximately 5 o'clock, I'll have hopefully that game finalized, and you'll see all the things work for that one. That's how it works. Of course, we're week 1 right now. We're actually not week week 1. The season officially starts. Making sure I have that right. We don't have another phone with me, do I? Let me see if I can tell you. Season officially starts February. I think it's February 10th. Ooh. Just gonna confirm that. So the draft occurs December 31st. Draft occurs December 30th, 31st, and 1st for sure. It might occur on the 2nd as well, depending on how long each of those rounds takes. Before the draft, it'll be a little bit more easier this year because you guys will still have. I will have that more discussion in the other video for that one. The NBL season starts on the 10th, February 10th. The first game will be the first game that happens. So it's going to be, appears to be, the Saints and Falcons will be the first game that will occur. And the schedules are going to be, this is going to be the exact same schedule every week. So you can go back to the NBL. I think I have it differently somewhere. I think I have something different that shows you. Here it is. It's here. I'll have this one as linked as well to show you the predictions. These are what the games are going to occur. And what will happen is when you guys, if you guys do take control of the team, your name will be put over here and the predictions that you get. If you don't go for anything, your name will be discontinued after the first week. These are all players, the people that we are currently in. They're sort of computer generated. This is mine. That's the only one that will be real for sure. And the predictions will be for this as well. Your predictions will not be listed on this, but you get to do that if you want to. You can send an email. You can put in the video week one before pre to week one. It's like, hey, you know what? I think A, B, C, D. Yeah, that's what you're gonna think is gonna happen. I think the Hawks are gonna beat the Foxes. I think the Bears are gonna beat the. You get the point. And the stadiums don't matter. There's no real advantage to that. The away and home games don't really matter much either. But that's just the idea of what's going to happen with that. You can see every week who's playing home, who's playing away. You can see the divisions for last season. This is this season. Now, I will say this: if the playoffs happen today, this will be still there. If it would happen today, who would get into it? I probably will skip the first 3 weeks for that, and here's the ranks for all those things: point-wise, points, position, conference, position, right, whatever. That's the idea. And I will say this. This is no longer relevant because they're not going to get... Once they have locked, that will be what you'll see. You'll see the number next to it. That means that they have locked that position. Otherwise, there's not much else to say. I hope you guys want to join the league this year, and I will see you guys in other videos. Videos should be going, each of these special meetings, I will want to say this in each one of these, I should have them up by Monday at 5. That's my, no, not Monday at 5. I would say probably late Tuesday at the earliest. I'm going to get these videos out of all the updations and all that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to keep your game on. I'll see you guys in the Sports Hour universe. Hope you guys will join the league.